are sacrificing everything for a chance of humanity's survival. If we all die today and Tyran falls, it's the end of humanity. No chance of rebuilding. No chance of survival for our race. Why are we the ones that have to make this sacrifice? Rokas demanded, his grip on his axe tightening. Because we brought this upon our world, Eldrin said, sorrow tinging his words. Our greed and everlasting hunger for more power brought this plague of corruption that has been slowly taking over our planet. How can we be sure it? Rokas asked the question that has been answered at least 100 times already. How can we know this is the right decision? We went over this dozens of times already this part year, Horkaz, Eldrin retorted, his patience wearing thin. Do we need to go over it again? Horkaz grunted in discontent and shouldered his axe. Come on, let's not waste time on something we have already discussed and decided upon, Eldrin said. You'll get to fight today. You and Groira will go on and take the army out of the gates and give them all we got while we put our plan in motion. Very well, Rokas conceded. At least I'll go down swinging. Eldrin offered a nod of approval, eager to move past the anticipated confrontation. So, where do we start? He asked, looking at no one in particular. Well, Toyer said, seizing the moment of silence, I've managed to make what we need of the equipment for you to survive the blast and the corruption. Toyer took a large purple and yellow shield and put it beside him on the ground, leaning it against the bench. This shield will, shield you from the corruption as you enter the essence itself, he continued. I've called it a shield of corruption. Most of the founding members of the guild exhaled in annoyance. Toyer was the one who could carve and craft the most powerful and magnificent weapons on the planet, but with that talent came the inevitable desire to name every one of his masterpieces something cheesy. And to make matters worse, the name stuck. I know it makes no sense as it shields you from the corruption, but it just came to me, the tall, lanky man said, shrugging his shoulders. And what's that? Lyriel asked, pointing behind Toyer. Oh, that's the most important thing, Toyer said, retrieving the spear-like wooden piece of equipment that was leaning against the tree. This is the wand of creation. The name earned him another round of annoyed exhales, but he continued anyway. It will help you, Eldrin, seize the full power of the essence for the brief moment before it consumes you completely so you can do what needs to be done, Toyer said now with a serious tone. So it's definitely me? Eldrin asked. It has to be you, Vaziva said. You are the quickest to think of solutions and new ways to cast spells on the spot. Eldrin just nodded in agreement. So, before we start, I just want to say one more that it has been a pleasure sharing this long life with you, and I hope we somehow and somewhere get to see each other again. Before anyone could say anything else, an inhumane shriek sounded from outside the gates, sending shivers down the Eldrin's spine. A shriek like that could only be made by the Serpent Shadow. With that, Horkaz and Groira quickly shook hands and hugged everyone before they left to take the army out for one last battle. Eldrin left his wand at the bench next to him and took the shield of corruption in one hand and wand of creation in the other hand, and stepped into the circle surrounded by 4 of his remaining friends, Vaziva, Lyriel, Toyer, and Isandria, who started chanting in unison. After a short chant, Edelrin felt power surge through him, and everything went white. Year 1781 A's, after shattering. Eldrin woke up as any other day in the past 2 millennia and did his morning routine of nourishing his garden, picking fresh vegetables before bringing them inside for breakfast. He was in the back of the garden ready to pick freshly grown tomatoes when a sudden and sharp headache almost swept him from his feet. Eldrin had to grab a wooden stake that was there to help the tomatoes grow in order to stay on his feet. As sudden as it came, the sharp headache left leaving Eldrin disoriented for a brief moment. Eldrin, are you okay? Lyriel yelled from the cottage's door, snapping Eldrin out of the frenzy. I guess so, he said slowly, letting go of the wooden stake. Did you feel it? She asked him with a worried undertone. Yes, I did. Eldrin shook his head in disbelief. What do we do now? Lyriel asked. I don't know, Eldrin said as he walked towards the cottage. But God's help us all, it has begun again.